The drive for lucky number 13 starts tonight. You're on the Hoops Cap.
Let's get it, 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 let's get it. Yeah. UConn, baby. Home of the champions. Let's go.
Welcome in, Husky Nation. You're tuned into the Hoops Cap podcast, your daily home for everything UConn men's and women's basketball, powered by the Big East Energy Network, where passion meets energy. Big East Energy. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, join the conversation in the comments. This is where real fans talk real hoops. And hey, if you're a business, a local brand, or anyone who wants to get behind what we're building here, we're opening up partnership opportunities for the season. A minimum of 25% of every sponsorship goes directly to the Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs of Connecticut. So we have somebody on the men's side. We're looking for some folks on the women's side. So if you're not just supporting UConn basketball, you're helping kids right here in our community. Email me at bigeastenergy.com or bigeastenergy@gmail.com if you want to be a part of something that gives back as well. So here we are on the morning of the first game of the season. It's a real interesting deal, right? So it's the 25-26 UConn women's basketball season tip-off tonight in Annapolis, Maryland. At first, it was going to be in Germany with this Armed Forces Classic, but it got moved back to the States because of the government shutdown. We won't dive into any of that. Save your opinions for Facebook and other things of that nature. The Huskies, ranked number 1 in the nation, opened the year in the Armed Forces Classic against number 20 Louisville, the first women's game ever played in this event, and the first time it's been hosted at a service academy. Geno Auriemma was honest when he was asked about this. This isn't exactly how he likes to start. Last year it was Boston University, an 86-32 walkthrough in Hartford. This time it's Louisville, a ranked opponent, neutral floor, national television, and he was quoted as saying, "I'd rather ease into it." He joked after practice. But when the opportunity came up, you can't pass it up. So as much as he wants to do something, he understands his duty to the game and what that means going forward. UConn's deep, talented, and still figuring itself out. There's no Paige Beckers this season. It's Azzi Fudd and Sarah Strong's team now. You've got 5 newcomers trying to mesh fast, a deep bench on paper, and a coaching staff that knows tonight might look a little messy early. And as we get to this matchup, one of the things I wanted to mention too was, if you think about what Geno asked, what I asked Geno on Big East Media Day, it was essentially, is having too many good players a good problem to have? Players is a good problem to have. Is that true? Or like, how do you navigate? Because I mean, we look at this team and it's a fantastic collection of talent. So can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Too many players is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
If they can all play. And sometimes on the outside, the perception is they can all play. And on the inside, the reality is, tell me a team that has 14 players and they can all play. They can't. So it is a good problem, so it isn't. So everybody's got to buy in, and everybody gets an opportunity for the whole month of October and maybe some in November to prove that you're in that top 8, 9, 10. Then how the other 4 react can determine how much fun you have coaching them.
So that was the man himself talking about something that Chelsea Sherrod and I posed, is too many players a good problem to have. And in this case, when you're playing a team like Louisville, that's, going to be a top 3 or 4 team in the ACC, you really have to kind of start to figure that out. And as Geno put it in media availability, you don't really know until games begin. You've got to throw them in the fire and let them figure it out. And that's exactly what this opener is, a trial by fire. So let's talk about this matchup. And it's Louisville. They're kind of a wild card. Only one returning starter, Tajianna Roberts, a former top 25 recruit who averaged almost 13 points a night. Their biggest offseason pickup, Laura Ziegler from St. Joseph's, was 17 points, 10 boards, and 4 assists per game. However, St. Joseph's, more of a mid-major. Becky Hammond Award finalist, and Amari Berry and McKinley Randolph, both ready for bigger roles. And you've got a brand new Cardinals team still learning each other. But UConn's history here is lopsided. UConn's led the series 20-3. They rolled a Louisville team 85-52 last December at Barclays with strong performances from both Azzi Fudd and Sarah Strong. That was the game where last year everyone was like, well, it's over. Azzi's back and, we're in a national championship. And then she got hurt the next game and, tweaked her knee. And that was the whole, or at the end of the game against Louisville. So hopefully that's not an issue tonight where she tweaks anything. Let's hope Sarah continues her ascension. Geno knows what's coming from Jeff Walls' squad. Length, speed, pressure, typical Louisville. He even said he's got a scouting report on his desk, but doesn't know how much to believe because it's all from exhibitions. And I think that's also part of the conundrum that coaches have right now. It's like, a lot about your team to a certain extent. You know a lot about what the coaches want to do on the other side to a certain extent. The idea of putting that all into play is kind of the secret sauce. So that's the chess match early in the season. You trust your culture, you trust your system more than the film and what you can kind of break down. And I think Geno and his staff are well versed on that and have been for 40 plus years. This game has a little deeper meaning for Geno. The move to Annapolis after the original Germany site was scrapped by the government shutdown, as we talked about earlier, brought the team to the U.S. Naval Academy, and that means something to him. He talked about his wife's father, who played hoops at Navy in the 1930s, and the Navy flag he flies at home. He's always found ways to teach perspective through these trips, showing his players what discipline, sacrifice, and service look like up close and personal, and I applaud him for that. This is a quote from him in the media, looking at those faces out there who are catching planes on an aircraft carrier, then telling our players, you just got to box out on a jump shot. It hits you. And that's vintage Geno, turning a neutral site game into a lesson in gratitude and accountability. And I think that's just something that we don't, I'm going to jump on my soapbox for a second here, but that's just not something we teach enough. The accountability of what these men and women deal with on a regular basis in terms of what they sacrifice for their country and the little thanks they get for those sacrifices. So as much as we love UConn hoops, women's, men's, whatever, UConn athletics, much as we love Geno, and I mean, how could you not love him after the response he gave me at media day? Super engaging, just an incredible persona and aura that he has. But I am, along with that, he is an absolute legend, not only just for his wins, but how he goes about leading these young women on a regular basis. So vintage Geno, we're going to move past that, take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the real return. You didn't know there was another big time return tonight? I'm excited about it. And I know she is too. We're going to talk about that coming up after a very short break. All right, you're back on the Hoopscat Pod. Your host, Mark Zanetto here. The return. Ayanna Patterson. Maybe the biggest story tonight isn't really about an opponent at all. It's about this comeback story. She's back. I feel like we have one of these every year. It's been 944 days since her last official game. Multiple surgeries, multiple setbacks. Does this sound familiar from the conversation I had last year around multiple players, Azzi Fudd and others? Now on the eve of her 22nd birthday, she gets to start her UConn career all over again. Groundhog Day in the flesh. She was a McDonald's All-American, a top 5 recruit, and one of the most athletic forwards UConn had brought in years. But injuries robbed her of 2 full seasons. Now she says her focus is simple: write a healthy story. Again, a very simple callback to the Azzi Fudd story. And I hope maybe in some far-off universe, we're looking at this down the stretch in March where she's making a huge impact and writing her own Most Outstanding Player of the Year award in the Final Four. Can it happen? Absolutely. She definitely has the talent. Geno put it perfectly. You're older, but you're not experienced. All you can do is keep putting out there and say, show us what you're made of. And putting her out there and say, show us what you're made of. So to me, I think she's going to get her opportunities because she's earned that. And I think she's going to get her opportunities because Geno is a loyal guy and he loves experienced players, even though she may not have the same experience as some other 22-year-olds. I think she's going to be super energetic. I think her defense is going to be off the charts, and I think rebounding coming off the bench is going to be her calling card. A very similar role that can be played by a defender or a person that is not going to be expected to score as much. So I think her journey is a reminder of what this program is all about, that resilience. And in a certain way, it's like there's always that one redemption story every year, or a couple in certain instances. So as we turn to this game, and it's not similar to the men's side. The men's last night was kind of a lackluster bye game where a lot of people were upset. I was not one of them. It's the beginning of the season. Everyone's going to have growing pains. But on the women's side, I think we got to look at the bigger picture. You know, they're in a very interesting spot. Geno is an absolute living legend. He is every game left with Geno Auriemma is a gift. And I know I sound super corny right now, and I know I sound probably a little too heavy for a basketball show, but the reality for me is Geno Auriemma is literally unique. There's never going to be another Geno Auriemma. And I say that because you can be similar. Like, I feel like, and I know maybe men's fans will be upset about this with me, but like, we've seen Dan Hurley before. We just have. We've seen his style before. We've seen it in a Bobby Knight. You've seen it in even in Jim Calhoun, someone that's literally sat in his chair. But you've never seen a Geno Auriemma. He just doesn't exist. Like, he's unique to himself. And he's unique because he created something literally out of nothing. If you told me in 1985, and I was 4 years old at the time, so I don't think you could have told me anything. I would have been like, sounds good. But if I was an adult in 1985 and you told me that this man is going to take UConn women's basketball and be the greatest women's basketball program of all time, and on top of that, he's going to create such a fascination around women's basketball in terms of college sports. I know there's others. Listen, if you're watching this and you're like, well, what about this person? I get that. But I'm talking about specific to college sports, specific to the state of Connecticut. How people were watching sold out games on public access. And then that went to Fox Sports, and now went to SNY. And now this went to Fox Sports. Like, the lineage of all of this. And UConn's fingerprints are on every piece of media in terms of what you watch, what you consume in the women's game. Rebecca Lobo's on different calls. You have Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi doing a podcast that's simulcast during big games in college. Yes, are there other sprinkled Tennessee and South Carolina folks around the country? Absolutely. The Kara Lawsons. I can't think of other ones off the top of my head. But either way, I totally understand if a person's like, well, what about this person? I get it. UConn has a high ranking official in almost everything. Jen Rosati's the president of the Connecticut Sun, just to name a few. I think what's interesting, Geno was a USA Olympic coach for multiple years. There isn't a coach and a staff with Chris Daly and others that can say that they've ever done the things that the UConn women have done on the men's side too. Because even if you throw Wooden in there, in a time in the 60s when it was not as difficult as it is to win a national championship in today's game. And I will fight that to the death. Some teams were getting paid money. Some teams couldn't afford that. And there was a lot of dirty stuff going on. John Wooden wasn't dirty, but what I'm saying is the people underneath him potentially, funneling money to players so that they come to UCLA. Those are all unfounded rumors, so allegedly. But even if everything was an even playing field, to win 4 or 5 games in a row in a men's tournament, sometimes earlier, less than that in those times, isn't as difficult as the myriad of things that the women had to do in this instance. Geno never won a tournament with less than 64 teams in it. Just didn't exist. And if I'm wrong on that, fact check me. Maybe there's one tournament early on where there was less than 64. I doubt it, because I think we're in the key just like the UConn men, every title has been won in the modern era. And on the flip side, going back to bringing this towards the Naval Academy and what this means to him, the location, the meaning of the moment, third defending national champion again, opening a new chapter with new leaders in a program that's still fueling this nationwide standard and bringing in folks from outside of the country, Gandhi, Blanca, others. It's symbolic that they're starting at the Naval Academy. The discipline, the legacy, the service. It's Geno and UConn basketball, in particular the women, in a nutshell. So for me, the drive for Lucky 13 officially begins tonight, and it begins in a way that is uniquely UConn and unique to Geno as a whole. So look, short episode today. Games at 5:30. This will be out very shortly after. Super excited about this season. Thank you for joining us on this ride. Hoopscap is super thankful for its fans. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Share it with a friend. Drop a comment. Keep spreading the Big East Energy word. No live reaction tonight. My kids are under my care as my wife goes to work, so pray for me. We'll break it all down tomorrow. See ya. Go Huskies. Again, drive for Lucky 13 starts tonight.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah.